Emily, a dedicated cashier, never imagined her usual routine at Harbor Cafe would be tested in such a way. In the cozy ambience of the Harbor Cafe, an unexpected incident shook the very foundation of the bakery. What brought customers and staff together in solidarity with her? This is a story of courage and unity, where humanity's core values shine through. Follow along to hear more heartwarming stories like this. Harbor Cafe, nestled in a bustling neighborhood, greeted the morning with the enticing aroma of freshly baked pastries and steaming coffee. Emily, the talented cashier, welcomed the steady stream of customers with her warm smile and innate cheerfulness. As a seasoned employee, she was beloved by both customers and colleagues for her humor and unwavering optimism. But this morning, as she stood at the register, Emily had no idea she was about to face the biggest challenge of her career. A middle-aged woman in an expensive coat approached the counter with a scrutinizing gaze and an air of disdain. Emily kept her smile steady. "Good morning. How can I help you?" The woman's voice was icy, her words laced with malice and loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. "I'd prefer to be served by someone else." Emily hesitated for a brief moment, her smile faltering slightly. The cafe was bustling, and every one of her colleagues was preoccupied. She responded gently, "I'd be happy to take your order." The woman crossed her arms and stepped closer, her tone dripping with contempt. "It's nothing personal, but I don't want you touching my food. Can someone else serve me?" A strange silence fell over the cafe. Emily felt the weight of the customers' gazes, her heart tightening. Yet, she took a deep breath and maintained her calm demeanor. "I'm the cashier today. If you'd like to place an order, I'd be happy to assist you." The woman sneered, turning her head to call out loudly, "Is there a manager here?" The tension in the cafe grew palpable. Customers exchanged uneasy glances, and a few quietly raised their phones, sensing that something significant was about to unfold. Before Emily could respond, Ryan, the cafe's manager, emerged from the kitchen. The lean man with salt and pepper hair, always composed, dusted off his apron and approached the counter. "What seems to be the issue?" Ryan asked, his eyes shifting between Emily and the woman, his brow furrowing slightly in concern. The woman seized the opportunity, her tone exaggerated. "Finally, someone who can help me. I need someone else to serve me, someone more appropriate." Ryan blinked, his expression neutral but firm. "Appropriate? Emily is one of our best employees. If there's a specific problem, I'd be happy to address it, but you'll need to clarify. What do you mean by appropriate?" The woman hesitated, clearly reluctant to voice her true thoughts out loud. She glanced around, noticing the curious eyes of other customers. Finally, she leaned in and whispered, "I don't want her touching my food." Emily remained still, her face calm, though her emotions churned beneath the surface. Ryan glanced at her briefly, then turned to face the woman directly. His voice was steady but carried a sharp edge. "Let me be clear. You don't want Emily to serve you because of her race, is that correct?" The woman's face turned pale, her eyes darting nervously. "I just think it would be better if," Ryan interrupted, his tone firm and unyielding. "We do not tolerate discrimination here, ma'am. Emily is a professional and fully capable of serving you. But if that's a problem for you, I'm going to have to ask you to leave." The entire cafe fell silent. The woman's expression shifted from indignation to unease. She opened her mouth as if to argue, but the oppressive tension in the room made her hesitate. Murmurs of disapproval rippled through the crowd. "This is outrageous," she hissed, her voice low but venomous. "I'm a customer, and I have the right to be served by someone I feel comfortable with." Ryan didn't budge, crossing his arms over his chest, his gaze unwavering. "And I have the right to protect my staff from discriminatory behavior. Emily is here to do her job, not to endure anyone's prejudices." The woman glanced around, perhaps hoping for support, but was met only with judgmental stares. A man standing near the counter spoke up, his voice clear and firm. "The only one causing trouble here is you, not her." A woman nearby chimed in, "That's right. If you're uncomfortable, feel free to leave. We don't need people like you here." Emily remained silent, her face expressionless, though her heart pounded in her chest. She wasn't used to being the center of attention, but she couldn't ignore the warmth spreading within her. At the sight of customers rallying to her side, the woman, in a final attempt to assert herself, pointed a trembling finger at Ryan. "You'll regret this," she hissed. "I'll make sure everyone knows how unprofessional this place is, choosing to protect employees over customers." Ryan shrugged, his demeanor calm and collected. "If standing up for my employees makes me unprofessional in your eyes, I'll take that as a compliment." The woman's face tightened, her lips pressing together as though preparing to unleash another tirade. But just then, a voice rang out from across the room, cutting through the tension. "Excuse me, may I say something?" All eyes turned toward the tall man in a sharp suit, standing at the back of the cafe. He walked toward the counter with measured steps, his expression calm yet commanding. He had been silently observing the entire scene from his table, his face betraying no emotion until now. "I couldn't help but overhear," he began, his voice steady and authoritative. "As a regular customer here, I feel compelled to speak up." The atmosphere shifted. Everyone, including the woman, fell silent as the man approached the counter. He glanced at Emily, then nodded reassuringly at Ryan before turning to address the woman. "I've been coming to Harbor Cafe for years," the man began, his voice steady and confident. "Beyond the excellent pastries, the main reason I return is because of the staff, especially Emily. She has always been polite, professional, and dedicated. So, it's deeply disappointing to see you treat her with such disrespect." The woman tightened her grip on her handbag, her eyes flashing with anger. "I have the right to express my opinion," she snapped, her voice rising. "And I have the right to request someone else to serve me if I feel uncomfortable." The man raised an eyebrow, his expression a mix of surprise and disappointment. "Let me get this straight," he said, his voice lowering. "You walk into a public establishment, request service, and then refuse to be served by one of their best employees, just because of the color of her skin? That's not an opinion, ma'am. That's prejudice." A murmur of agreement swept through the cafe. Many customers nodded. A few whispered their support. The woman's face flushed red, but she refused to back down. "This is ridiculous," she burst out, her voice trembling with fury. "I'm being bullied by everyone here just for making a simple request. If the customer isn't always right, then why is everyone siding with her?" She jabbed a finger in Emily's direction, her eyes brimming with hostility. Emily, who had remained silent until now, finally spoke. Her voice was calm but resolute, cutting through the tension in the room. "I don't need anyone to defend me," she said, her gaze steady. "But I do expect to be treated with respect. If you think I'm not doing my job well because of the color of my skin, that says far more about you than it does about me." The cafe fell silent once more, Emily's words hanging in the air. Even the woman seemed momentarily stunned, unsure how to respond. The man in the suit nodded approvingly. "Well said," he added, then turned to the woman. "I suggest you leave before you embarrass yourself any further. This is not a place that tolerates behavior like yours." The woman's lips tightened, and her eyes darted nervously around the room, but all she saw were cold, disapproving stares. She clutched her bag tighter, stepping back as her initial confidence crumbled. "This is unbelievable," she hissed, her voice losing its earlier edge. "I'm the victim here, yet you're all treating me like I'm the one at fault." Ryan straightened, his tone unwavering. "You are the problem," he said bluntly. "I will not tolerate anyone treating my staff, or anyone else, as if they are less deserving of respect. If you're unwilling to apologize to Emily and treat her properly, I'll have to ask you to leave." The woman's eyes widened, and for a fleeting moment, it seemed like she might apologize. But instead, she lifted her chin, letting out a bitter laugh. "I'll never come back here again," she declared, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "And I'll make sure everyone knows how rude and unprofessional this place is." Ryan's expression remained calm. "Feel free to do so. But if you plan on spreading lies, remember that plenty of people here have recorded the entire incident." The woman's face turned pale. She glanced over her shoulder to see multiple phones pointed at her, their screens clearly showing that they were recording. The customers didn't try to hide their actions. meeting her gaze with unapologetic disapproval. "You should leave now," one customer called out loudly, their tone firm. The woman bit her lip, trembling with frustration as she turned and stormed out. The cafe door slammed shut behind her, and the oppressive tension in the room seemed to lift instantly. Emily exhaled softly, a wave of relief washing over her as she noticed the supportive smiles and encouraging nods from those around her. "I think she embarrassed herself enough," another customer remarked dryly, their tone calm but cutting. The woman's defiance had crumbled completely. Muttering something under her breath, she strode toward the exit, the bells on the door jingling sharply as she left. A smattering of applause began to ripple through the cafe, growing louder with each second. Emily stood frozen, blinking in surprise. Her cheeks flushed as the sounds of clapping and the warm smiles of appreciation filled the room. "You handled that beautifully," a woman said as she approached the counter, her grin wide. "Truly, you're remarkable," another customer chimed in. Emily offered a soft smile, her heart still pounding in her chest. "Thank you," she said quietly, her voice laced with gratitude. Ryan, the manager, placed a reassuring hand on Emily's shoulder, his eyes filled with pride. "You handled that beautifully," he said softly. "If you need a break, take one. You've earned it." Emily nodded, grateful for his support, but she chose to stay at the counter, determined not to let the incident disrupt her work. Taking a deep breath, she turned back to the line of customers patiently waiting. The tall man in the suit from earlier stepped forward, pulling out a sleek leather wallet. He smiled warmly. "The usual," he said, handing her his credit card. Emily quickly entered his order into the system. "A black coffee and a blueberry muffin, right?" "Exactly," he replied, his smile never wavering. As he took his receipt, he lowered his voice and added, "You handled that situation with a calmness most people couldn't muster. Don't let someone like her get to you." Emily looked up, meeting his sincere gaze. She nodded, her voice filled with gratitude. "Thank you so much." One by one, the following customers offered Emily words of encouragement. "It was awful to see that, but you handled it wonderfully," said a woman holding a small child in her arms. "I come here every day, and you're the reason this place feels so warm and welcoming," another customer said while ordering their coffee. Each compliment bolstered Emily's spirit. As the crowd thinned, a quiet sense of pride began to fill her heart, an emotion she hadn't anticipated. A little girl, about 8 years old, approached the counter, her wide eyes shining with admiration. "I think you're really brave," the child said, clutching a $10 bill tightly in her small hands. Emily bent down slightly, a gentle smile spreading across her face. "Thank you, sweetheart. That means a lot to me." The girl beamed and pointed to the display case. "Can I buy a chocolate chip cookie?" "Of course," Emily replied, carefully wrapping a cookie. "But this one's on me." The girl squealed with delight, and her mother, standing nearby, offered Emily a silent, heartfelt thank you with her eyes. As the girl skipped away, Ryan stepped closer, his arms crossed but his expression warm. "You're amazing, you know that?" he said. Emily shrugged, a soft smile tugging at her lips. "I'm just doing my job." Ryan shook his head, his voice brimming with pride. "No, Emily, you've shown everyone here what strength and dignity look like. That's worth far more than simply doing a job well." As the bakery returned to its usual rhythm, Emily allowed herself to relax. Though the earlier encounter had been tense, the overwhelming support from customers and colleagues reminded her she wasn't alone. Later that afternoon, when the rush had quieted, Ryan approached with a small envelope in hand. "Emily, can I have a word?" She nodded, wiping her hands on a towel before stepping away from the counter. "Of course. What's this about?" she asked, a hint of worry in her voice. Ryan handed her the envelope. "I just want you to know how much you mean to this place. Not just because you're an exceptional employee, but because you bring so much goodness to this bakery. Your attitude, kindness, and composure under pressure are truly inspiring." Emily opened the envelope to find a handwritten card and a gift card to a local spa. The card read, "Thank you for being the heart of this bakery. Your strength and grace inspire all of us. Take some time for yourself. You deserve it." Emily looked up, her eyes glistening with emotion. "You didn't have to do this," she whispered. Ryan shook his head, his tone firm. "I had to, because you deserve it." Emily tucked the card back into the envelope, glancing up as the doorbell chimed, signaling a new customer. "Back to work?" Ryan asked with a light chuckle. Emily smiled, a newfound confidence radiating from her. She knew today wasn't just another day. It was a turning point, not only for her but for everyone who had witnessed it. That evening, as she scrolled through her phone, Emily discovered a video of the incident circulating online. A customer had captured the moment and shared it, and the video had already gained thousands of views. The caption read, "This cashier just showed the world how to rise above hate with dignity and resilience." Emily's heart swelled with pride as she read the flood of supportive comments. People from all over expressed their admiration for her strength and condemned the unacceptable behavior of the woman. Emily smiled. She hadn't just stood her ground. She had shown the world how to rise above hatred. It was a victory she would carry with her forever. What would you do if faced with prejudice like Emily? Have you ever stood up for what's right, even when you knew it wouldn't be easy? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your story might inspire someone else. If this story moved you, help spread its meaningful message by sharing it with your friends and family. Your support contributes to building a community where respect and kindness are prioritized above all else. Thank you for supporting this channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated with the latest stories. These stories are collected from various sources and do not represent any individual or organization. They are shared to promote human values in life and have been rewritten with the help of AI. If there are any errors, we ask for your understanding and forgiveness. Wishing you all the best in life.